चालले बाय बाय.
माझी बाई चल.
Hey folks, here Rachna Ranade here and I welcome you all to another brand new IPO review video which is about Anupam Rasayan IPO. Well, what does the company do? The company is into specialty chemical business. Naam to suna hi hoga. Why? Because this is the fourth company which is coming up with an IPO and which is into the specialty chemical business. Which were the first three? We saw Rosary Biotech IPO, we saw Chemcon Specialty Chemicals, and also latest Heranba Industries. All three were into specialty chemicals. This is the fourth company that I'm reviewing for an IPO in a span of less than 1 year. What does the company do in specific? The company is engaged in the custom synthesis and manufacturing of specialty chemicals. So I'm sure these two words can be overwhelming, like custom synthesis and manufacturing of specialty chemicals. Let's understand one by one what do these mean. If I talk about the word specialty chemicals, I've discussed this absolutely in detail in my Rosary Biotech IPO video. So if you want to know more about what is specialty chemical, you can also check out that video and then join back into this video, or you can check that video later and continue with this video right now. One more word which came here was what is meant by custom synthesis. In simple words, it is nothing but like a tailor-made thing. Okay, custom synthesis is a custom-made synthesis. Okay, so the company mentions that the company operates in custom synthesis, that is custom-made specialty chemical business, which is majorly focusing on agrochemical industry. So you can imagine that a company needs a material for agrochemical industry. This company, which is Anupam Rasayan, that will specially tailor-made, custom-made, they'll make a product which will be used by the agrochemical industry. Well, let's understand the history in brief. Way back in 1984, it commenced its business in Surat, Gujarat as a partnership firm, and the original partners were Miss Hansa Desai, Miss Sonia Desai, Miss Purnima Desai, and Mr. Ashwin Desai. In 2003, they converted this partnership firm into a public limited company. Well, just for your information, a company can become a public company only if it has minimum 7 shareholders. Maximum shareholders, there's no limit. Okay, so it's not necessary that first you have to register as a private limited company and then convert into a public limited company. Okay, so they registered in 2003 as a public limited company. In 2010, they entered into their first major outside India supplying contract. They started supplying specialty chemical to Syngenta Asia Pacific Pte in Singapore, and in 2017 they commenced supply of specialty chemicals to Sumitomo Chemical Company Limited in Japan. Now let's understand the business verticals of the company. There are two major business verticals, so let's understand them in very smaller. Better? Okay, so there are two major verticals. One is life science specialty chemicals and the other one is other specialty chemicals. Life science specialty chemicals accounts for 95.37% of the revenue, and balance 4.63 comes from the other specialty chemicals. Now again, what is life science specialty chemicals? In simple words, anything which comes out of science or anthropology, or we call it as biology, medicine, or I can say anything related to living beings, that will come under your life science specialty chemicals. And if it is about something else, like for non-living beings, like it can be dyes, it can be dyes means not dye, that is why non-living. Okay, very bad joke. Okay, so dyes or specialty pigments or polymer additives, that will go into the other specialty chemicals. If I'm talking about a further breakup of this 95.73%, then 71.95% out of that comes only from crop protection segment. So if I'm talking about crop protection, it will be about herbicides, insecticides and fungicides. So you can understand that the major contributor of company's revenue is from agrochemical industry. Now if I talk about also a revenue breakup of exports versus domestic sale, you can understand that exports account for 68.05% of the total revenue. And if you ask me which countries does this company export to, Europe, it exports almost 35.97%. US and Japan is 3.69% and 5.83% respectively. The company has also been recognized as a 3-star export house by the government of India. So it's something like we have 5-star hotels, 3-star hotel, 5-star hotel. Similarly, government of India also rates stars the export houses. So being a 3-star export house, that qualifies that it is comparatively good at exports. So now let's understand their customer base. You can see that the top 3 customers are Syngenta, Sumitomo and UPL. If I talk about the top 10 customers of the company, they account for more than 86% of the revenues of the company. Is that also a risk? Yes, top 10 clients getting almost 86% of the revenues. So even one or two out of these, if they go to some other person, it might impact their revenues. But if I talk about overall number of clients, you can check out here that they have total 53 domestic and international clients, and which also includes 17 multinational clients. You might also be wondering that it's going to be a listed company. It has only 53 clients. How come so? For that, if you remember, I had told you in the beginning of the video that they make specialized, customized products, right? Tailor-made products. So now you can imagine, this point is very important for you to understand what is mentioned in their prospectus. It says that a custom synthesis and manufacturing agreement is done between the two parties, which is typically long-term in nature, and where the validity of contract ranges between 2 years to 5 years. So you can imagine what can happen. Assume that there is a company A which is wanting to manufacture insecticides, okay, and they need some specialized, some tailor made raw material to make that insecticide. So whom do they give this contract to? They'll give this contract to Anupam Rasayan. Okay. Now what will people in Anupam Rasayan do? They will do, first of all, they'll try to understand the client needs. Then they'll do a lot of R&D based on that. After a lot of research, they'll try to understand what will be the manufacturing process. They do the manufacturing process, and after this, see, this will take maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And after that, what does the company say? What does the client say? Bye bye, Jatu Atami. Bye bye. You know what happened in the pre-bumper? After playing a long innings, the person said bye bye. Okay, the person said bye bye. Can this happen in this case? It may happen that the customer backs off after 3 or 4 years. But when we thought that this is a big risk, we thought of reading the prospectus, and that's where we understood that it is mentioned in the risk factors that this might happen, but the probability of the customer backing out at the last minute is comparatively less, because number one, there is a confidentiality agreement which is signed off between the two parties. So just in case, even if the customer backs off, it will have to make arrangements for another supplier wherein they can't disclose what Anupam Rasayan did. So the process will unnecessarily get elongated. I know this was a little bit of more explanation, but I feel this point required explanation. So I thought of giving you so much in detail. So if I go to economy analysis, you know this. I've talked about this in at least 10 videos now. This is V-shaped recovery. If you don't know even this much, stop watching my videos. So you have to know this by now, right? So this is a V-shaped recovery. Everyone knows about it. Let's not talk about it again and again. You might have even seen me talk about India versus China comparison since last so many videos if I do economy analysis. But that's we are going to do again when I do specialty chemicals review. So here you can see that India is growing at a 13% CAGR as far as the specialty chemical market is concerned. China, on the other hand, is growing only at 7% CAGR. Even if I'm talking, so this is about the material cost, right? If I'm talking about labor position, then India's minimum monthly wages is at the lowest if I compare it with Cambodia, China, Thailand, and Vietnam. So both points are positive for our country. Any other positive points? Absolutely yes. We have a lower corporate tax rate. The ease of doing business in India has improved. Our ranking has improved from 130 in 2016 to 63 at the current date. And if I'm talking about specialty chemicals as a whole, this industry is currently at $22 billion right now, and it is expected to grow to $44 billion in the next 6 to 7 years. So what do I understand? All in all, specialty chemical business does see a bright future in coming years. Well, I've told you many number of times that if you want to increase your chances of allotment, you need to have Demat accounts in the name of your family members as well. So if you want to open an account with Zerodha, link is there in the description box. And if you want to have this cool t-shirt of Asaka Sakai, then link is also there in the description box again. Well, let's start with the industry analysis now. Let's first compare how the global specialty chemical market is placed, and we'll compare it with India immediately. You can see that from 2015 to 2019, globally the specialty chemical markets had grown at a CAGR of 5.4%, and it is expected to grow at a CAGR of 5.5%. But if I compare it with the Indian scenario, bear with the noise, the construction work is going on forever, and I guess it'll go on forever again. Anyways, from 2015 to 19 in India, the specialty chemical markets grew at a CAGR of 9.8%, but it is expected to grow at a CAGR of 10.8% from financial year 19 to financial year 24. Well, if I talk about this, the into deeper details, like inside the specialty chemical markets, you can see, like, for dyes, pigments, agrochemical, fertilizers, textile, da 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 da, all these, if I'm talking about globally, majority of the places you can see that there is a CAGR of a single digit only. But if I compare it with the Indian markets, the CAGR is at a double digit growth. So all in all, I can say that the Indian specialty market is definitely outperforming the global specialty chemical market. Well, coming down to the breakdown now, if you check out in this pie chart, 19% of the total specialty Indian specialty chemical market is occupied by the agrochemicals market. And if I'm talking about dyes and pigments, it is 33%. So only two components, agrochemicals and dyes and pigments, it accounts for more than 50% of the total specialty chemical markets. Is this company engaged in both these products? And answer is yes. So it's to their advantage. If I go on to the next point, which is the Indian crop protection industry, you can see that the exports have grown at 9% CAGR and the domestic sales have grown at a 4% CAGR. So all in all, the overall Indian crop protection industry is also growing at a good rate. Now, very important point. Why am I talking about India's crop protection industry? Because if you remember, revenue wise, majority of the revenue for this company comes from crop protection. All in all, exports grew at 9% and the domestic consumption grew at 4%. If I talk about even the crop protection chemicals consumption, all in all, if you check out so many countries in the world, India's crop protection chemical consumption is the lowest as compared to so many other countries in the world. So in simple words, in India, all these fungicides and herbicides, their consumption per hectare is the lowest as compared to other countries in this world. If I go on to the next point, which is about the global API industry overview, here you can see that the API industry is growing continuously from 2015 and is also expected to grow at a good pace till 2025. Now you might be wondering, yeah, achanak se where did this API come from? You remember, the company is also into pharma, because pharma comes under life sciences, right? So that is why API is also an important aspect. And towards the end, if I talk about the CRAMS is nothing but contract research and manufacturing services. This has also grown at 10% CAGR and it is expected to grow at 12% CAGR from 2019 to 2024. Well, let's move on to the financial analysis part now. You can see here that the company's revenue have grown at a 24.46% CAGR, where I had already told you that the major chunk of the revenues comes from life science related specialty chemicals. Has it been increasing over the past few years? Answer is yes. From 2018 to 2020, it has grown from 92.6% of the total revenues to 95.37% of the total revenues. So its share, life sciences share in revenue, has been steadily increasing. So if I go on to the next point, which is revenue generated from top 10 customers, if you remember, I had already told about that as well, that it is also a huge chunk, but that has also gone up from 76.94% to 86.55% for the year ended 2020. If I move on to the debt to equity ratio, it is again increasing. It has increased from 0.95 to 1.38. Is that alarming? No, because debt to equity of 2:1 is also okay. Over and above that is kind of alarming, but for such kind of a specialty company, I don't think 1.38 is like really alarming. If I move on to the next part, which is the cash flow from operations, in 2018, towards the end of this graph, you can see that it had a negative cash flow from operations of 202 million rupees. In 2019, it had a cash flow from operations of 389 millions positive, and it has increased to 949 millions positive. So again, I can see a huge jump from cash flow from operations if I compare 2019 to 2020. So all in all, if you ask me, till now, is the financial condition okay? Answer is yes. This is reiterated by the CAGR figures, which I'm going to show in the current slide. Revenue from operations has grown at 24.42% CAGR. EBITDA has grown at 34.56% CAGR, and even PAT has grown at 13.25% CAGR. So as I mentioned, all in all, financials look to be definitely above average, but how is the valuation now? You can check out that their EPS is the lowest amongst its peers. If I check out the return on net worth, that is also lowest as compared to its peers. If I check out the NAV of the share, that is also lowest as compared to the peers. But if I talk about the PE ratio, that is highest among the peers, it is coming out to 80. And if I check out others, it is, I mean, the second highest is PI Industries, which is 65.72. So standalone financials were not bad, but if I compare it with the performance of peers, it's not standing out very well. So that is how the valuation looks like. One more very interesting piece of information, if you remember, I had talked about the CTM method of valuation. So what is CTM? It's a comparable transaction multiple. In simple words, it is nothing but, can I compare a transaction which has happened in the recent past? So in this case, company is going to issue shares to us, people like you and me, to various investors. Had it issued shares to someone else in the past? It had. It had issued shares to KPI LLC in September and October and November 2020 at a price of just 249 to 47 and 197 equity share per equity share. It is as low as that. Now the question is that at what price are they giving us the equity share? They are going to give us the equity share at a price of 555 rupees per share. So now you can imagine that in October 2020, November 2020, they issued at around 200 something, and now they are giving to us at 555 per share. Are we being given the share at a much higher valuation? Answer is yes, and I don't understand that what big thing they have done in the last 6 months that the share price has gone up from 250 levels to 555 levels. So I am not so very happy at this specific point. Now let's quickly understand the IPO details. IPO opens on 12th of March and it closes on 16th of March. There's a Saturday, Sunday in between. That's why it's a very big elongated period. It's a book built issue. It's a 100% fresh issue. The IPO price is 553 to 555 per share. Minimum application is at 14,985 rupees and maximum is at 1,94,805. The shares are going to get listed on BSE as well as on NSE. And now the answer to the big question, am I going to apply or not? For that, you have to check out the live stream on 16th of March at 11 a.m. wherein I'll tell you my position on this IPO. Well, you have a very small homework at your end. You have to tell me, what is the company going to do with this IPO money? Is it going to invest it in expansion plans, or is it going to repay the debt? Is it going to do anything else out of that? You have to tell me in the comment section. Till then, take care. Jai Hind. Bye bye. Ball टाक रहे अपन क्रिकेट कंटिन्यू करो.